computer. All right, okay. Co-host assignment, yes. Specify will be our co-host, inshallah. All right, annotation is off. Yes, Zoom has disabled this. Entry bell off. Yes, I have already done that. Waiting room disabled. So we cannot disable the waiting room. Fazabhai, can you take care of the waiting room and I'll just go ahead, inshallah. All right.
Yes, inshallah.
So let's talk about the ground rules before we move on. Inshallah, this journey will be together for an hour. Timings, we are starting right at 10 a.m. Saudi time, and inshallah, we'll finish by 1 hour or try to finish before that, inshallah. So, usage of mobile phones. So, before I move on, let me see if we have participants who do not speak Urdu at all. So let me see because if there are at least, even if there's one single participant who cannot speak Urdu, we need to respect. Okay, so give me a second here. All right, so we have some people. All right, so let's continue in English. And if you have any questions, feel free to raise any hand. So let's come back to the ground rules. So usage of mobile phones for the entire duration of this 1 hour, I would like to request sincerely and humbly that you put away your mobile phone. At least put them to silent mode so that they don't interrupt in between. So there's a tendency of we being shifted to our mobile phones unknowingly and sometimes subconsciously. So what happens that human minds, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created human minds so that they focus only on one thing at a time. So when we focus on the mobile phone, you are not focusing on the session. So we would like you to have as much value as possible for this entire duration of time that we are together. All right, using a cameras and mics. Well, my camera will be on. You are requested to close your camera, keep your cameras closed and your mics closed. If at all you want to say something, please raise your hand, and it will give me an indicator, and I'll give you the mic to say or speak. Questions, answers. All right, question answer. We appreciate if you can ask a question the moment it pops up in your mind. Why? Because we would like you to have your question answered before we move on, so that you can focus with full attention to this session rather than having your question in your mind oscillating and like a pendulum and not letting you focus on the session. All right, notes and sharing. Take as many notes as possible. And please, when you go back after the session, share with your friends and family circle as much as possible. Why? Because if you do not share the information within the next 24 to 48 hours, information has a tendency to fly away and information goes away. And once 1 week has passed by, 90% of the content is already gone and it's lost. So it's better to share. The purpose or the analogy is very simple. You know, if you like a water well or an oil well, you cannot stop the drilling of oil wells, because once you stop drilling, the oil wells soon get dry. Similarly, if you don't pull or fetch water out of the water wells, they get dry very soon. That is how the information is like. It's like a water well. If you don't share the information, the mind gets dried out. So share as much as possible. All right. So medium of our conversation is English. We have some of our audiences from our audience from KSA, some from Pakistan, on some other places. So inshallah, we'll continue in English. Inshallah. On your part, if you would like to if you would like to ask a question, ask your question in language other than English, like Urdu or anything. Yes, I understand Urdu, Arabic as well. So you can type your question or raise your question by voice, and I would like to answer accordingly, inshallah. Okay, so if you are writing in chat window, make sure that you have you see the options that you are sending your text to everyone or to a specific person. So if it is everyone, then I'm allowed to read aloud, inshallah. So these are a few ground rules before we move on. So I have my watch over here, and I'll keep looking at my watch from time to time so that I don't overshoot. All right, let's move on. So what are we going to cover today? There are 4 sections in today's program. First of all, what coaching is all about, because I believe many of you are coming from a background where they are not very much well aware of what coaching is all about. So we'll describe coaching a little bit. Second, we'll talk about why should anyone know about coaching now, and especially why it has become important or more relevant that you know about coaching now than ever before. Then third part is that why coaching works. And the fourth part is we'll tell you about the program details of this program, the schedule and other details about this program. So inshallah, these are the 4 sections of today's program. So let me tell you a little bit and then I'll ask you a question. So coaching is what? Coaching is a proven discipline practice that helps individuals and groups become better at whatever they are doing, whatever they want to become better at, be it relationship, be it achievement of goals, be it anything specifically or particularly relevant to that person or a group, whatever it is, whatever you want to do, you want to become better at, coaching is the way to go forward. So let me give you an example over here, which you may find irrelevant, but it is very relevant, and I'll tell you how. So in new automobiles or cars, there is a system of braking called anti-lock braking system called ABS. So imagine if this is the wheel, rotating wheel, right? And the wheel is in full motion, and you apply the brakes. So the brakes are like this. This is the brake comes and holds the wheel. So in the conventional braking system, the brake would come and hold it tight and make it not move anymore, and the car would skid. And once the car lost control or the start skidding, you have no control. Allah knows best where the car will go and hit. May Allah protect us all. Ameen. So the advanced technology in the brake anti-lock with the anti-lock braking system, the brake applies like this. It of course it creates a sound. So it comes and goes. So they have figured out that if it comes and goes and does it so frequently and with a very high speed, it's more effective braking system. And this lets you steer the car in the direction you want and stay safe. I repeat, it lets you steer the car in the direction you want and you stay safe. And it is more effective. Similarly, coaching is a proven disciplined practice of engaging and disengaging, engaging and disengaging over a fixed period of intervals to bring better results in whatever that you're doing in here. This is your rotating wheel of life. Whether it's a leadership wheel, it's a parenting wheel, it's your own health, it's your own career, or anything that is relevant to you in your life. And this is a coaching mechanism. This works like this and helps this improve any aspect that you like. So I hope I was able to clarify and to make this definition and clear and distinct. All right. So as you can see, I'm not going to read out the slides. Another thing, I have a tendency to speak faster. So if at any point in time, if you see that I'm rushing or I'm speaking very fast, you can raise a hand and I'll like to slow down myself. Let's move on. All right. So clarity, importance, whatever, we'll inshallah, as time permitted, we'll talk about this later, inshallah. Let's move on. So who are coaches? Coaches are professionals who engage their clients in continuous growth. Okay. So we have already explained what coaches are, what coaching is all about. And what do you see in the second sentence over here is empowering others to help themselves. What is empowerment? Empowerment is creating or developing the ability in the other person to make an informed decision by himself or herself. I repeat, creating or developing the ability in the other person to make an informed decision by himself or herself. This is called empowerment. So what a coach does primarily, if this is the client, and this is the coach, they engage in a relationship where the coach works with the client and helps him empower. helps him grow further, right? So when a coach empowers the client and this guy grows further, he sees opportunities which he or she was not able to see earlier. And this is empowerment and this is growth. And this is a continuous process. That is the reason you see most of the successful CEOs in the world, they have coaches. Like the CEO of Google, Eric Schmidt, you can go YouTube and find out Eric Schmidt 41 seconds video clip about coaching where he suggests that everyone should have a coach. Why should everyone have a coach? Inshallah, you'll see in the next coming slides. Let's move on. All right, so I have a question here, and you can type in your responses in the chat window. Under what circumstances you work with a coach? You have a problem or a challenge to resolve. You have an area of life where you would like to become better. You have too much of money to spend, or you want to fix the behavioral issues of other people. So, in your opinion, what are the different areas or circumstances where you should have a coach to work with you? So you can type your responses in the chat window and I'll read out inshallah for you. Oh, okay. So let me see what's here in the chat window. B. All right. Okay. So Bintafak, you say it's B. You have an area of life where you want to become better at. All right. Okay. Anyone else? A and B. By the way, you can have multiple choices as well. All right. Okay. Anyone else? You've got so many participants here. Okay. B. All right. All right. Fine. So some people say A and B, some people say B, A and B. Well, I would say A, B, C, and D, all four. All four are applicable. How? You are going to know it by yourself as we move on in the session, inshallah. So even if you have too much of money, you should have a coach. So that with a coach, you make it meaningful where to spend the money. All right. So let's move on. Okay, but why a coach? Aren't there any other ways? Yeah, so why you should have a coach? Because no one can see himself or herself from an outsider's perspective. Let me give you an example. What is an outsider's perspective? Outsider's perspective is something that imagine this is the client or this is the person who wants to become better at whatever that he or she is doing, and this is the coach. So coach has a vantage point. Vantage point means a higher point whereby the coach can see the other person and provide a perspective which the other person cannot provide by himself or herself. So in one of our coaching sessions, I remember I was coaching a person. He is a manager of a team, and he has some 13 or 14 people in his team. So this guy, when he manages, the issue with him, as his manager told me, that this guy's issue is that he tries to do everything by himself, and because of this, he is not able to maintain his work schedule or work-life balance. He ends up working odd number of hours, I mean extra hours, burning himself, and plus he misses deadlines and so on and so forth. So when I was asking when I was coaching him, and we have had few sessions together, I asked him. Imagine his name is, let's say, Ahmed, right? So I told Ahmed, imagine this is you here, which is sitting in front of me, right? So me and you are speaking, and imagine if this is another Ahmed who is, let's say, 10,000 feet above the ground level. So this Ahmed is watching you speaking to me. All right. So I would like you to communicate with this Ahmed, speak to this Ahmed, and ask him what can you do differently to get different results. I asked him. So the guy says, "Wow, it's a big question. I have never thought about this." So then he went into a deep thought. And then he came up with some responses. So this is just like providing an outsider's perspective. This is one of the aspects of coaching that I just highlighted. One of the great questions of coaching, which takes you in a different time scale and helps you look at yourself with a different perspective. So it's an outsider's perspective. Let me give you another example of outsider's perspective. I've got a flowing beard. So something, if a semi-liquid or something that I eat, sometimes I have a tendency to have it stuck in my beard. So I really do not know until unless other people tell me that I have something sticking in my beard. So this is an outsider perspective. I do not know. Other people tell me. The other thing is that no one can make himself or herself accountable to himself or herself. This is why people are not able to most of the people, a large majority, cannot sustain the exercise schedule that they come up with, are not able to maintain their weight, or not able to maintain their achievements or relationship or whatever, because we cannot. It is our human tendency that we cannot hold ourselves accountable. And of course, it is very easy to get distracted and end up taking more time to reach where we really wanted to reach. So this is all our different reasons of why coaching works. So this window that you see over here in on the screen is called Johari window. It was this is a phenomenon that was I would not rather say invented but developed by two people, Joe and Harrington. So combinedly, it's called a Johari window. So it contains of four different windows. I'll briefly explain each of them, and then I'll focus on the one which is relevant. So the first one is known to self and known to others. Let's suppose I'm wearing a shirt which is black in color. It is known to me. It's known to you. It is open spot. Okay. What is known to self and unknown to others is hidden spot. You do not know how much money do I carry in my pocket. It's known to me, not known to you. So this is called hidden spot. Let's come to the third one. The third one is unknown to self but known to others. Like the example that I gave you is unknown to self. I do not know if something is stuck in my beard, but it's known to other people. It's called blind spot. And the fourth one is unknown to everyone, unknown to myself, unknown to other people. So in here, in coaching, the main focus is here in blind spot. So by working with a coach, the person is able to uncover or to explore many different areas which he or she was not able to look at earlier by himself or herself. All right, so different situation where coaching helps. All these situations: improving performance, relationship, health, achieving goals, personal organization. I disagree with this term time management because we cannot manage time. We as human beings have no control upon time. We cannot stop the clock. So what we can do instead, we can arrange and organize ourselves around the time so that we can spend our resources effectively. So we can manage ourselves around the time rather than managing the time. All right, reducing stress, increasing confidence, and so on and so forth. All these are different scenarios or areas where the coaching phenomenon helps. All right, different roles, top athletes. We already talked about the CEOs, parenting children, whoever. So that means everyone has to have a coach. Everyone. I have a coach for last 6 years, more than 6 years. I have a coach, and every time I speak to a coach, there is a value that adds to my life. So who doesn't need a coach? There's no one who doesn't need an outsider's perspective. That means if you believe that you have an area to improve, you have to have a coach. All right. Now let me ask you another question here. Why the sports team they have a coach on a continual basis? I would like you to write in the chat window. Why sports teams and athletes they have a coach on a continual basis? Why? I would like you to write your response in the chat window. Why? Let me share if there's anything here in the chat window. All right, nothing here, nothing yet. Come on, it's an easy question. Why sports teams and athletes they have a coach on a continual basis? I'm still waiting for the response. Okay, continuous improvement, continuous feedback, all right, to help them in practice and help them improve. Okay, help them improve on a continual basis to, okay, to point out where the players can improve. Thank you very much, Farah, for your inputs and Salaf Kashif, Faisal, and Biltafa to give them feedback. So that means what you're saying. In other words, let me rephrase that: if the performance is here and coach helps the team bring the performance over here, that means there is a further room of improvement that you were not able to see earlier, and then you can see it now. That means you can improve further, and you go here, and then coach helps you move here and here and so on and so forth. So you can continue to grow up and up and up and continue to improve. This is how human beings are. And this is how corporate executives are. This is how parents are. Everyone can improve himself or herself over a period of time. Okay, so Nabil Malik says to help them one as team removing individual issues or concerns. Yes, thank you so much for your input. To look at the team as one single unit. All right. Okay, so let's move on. Okay, let me ask you another question and let me see who can respond it. In a sports teams, whether it's a football team or a hockey or a cricket team or whatever it is, whatever the sport, the coach is not from the team itself. The coach is an outsider. He is outsider. Why? Why a senior player cannot be a coach for the team? From the team, why the senior most person cannot coach the team? Why? Why they have to hire a coach always? Mhm. Okay, so that, all right, so that he does has his own personal agenda. All right, that's interesting. With that, what you say? All right, okay. Then Farafik says, cause the coach will have an outsider's view of the team, yes, to avoid any attachment and business. Faisal says, Sadaf Kashif, to avoid the factor of becoming lenient and unbiased. All right, okay, have to have an unbiased, yes. The coach cannot hold an outsider's perspective if he is from the team. That's why he has to be out of the team, and that's why senior players, when they retire, they can become a coach. But as long as they are playing, they can't become a coach. So thank you very much for your input. And Nabil says, being part of the old team, one can have liking as and preferences and biases. Yes, thank you so much for the inputs. Let's move on. Why one should know about coaching? Why everyone should learn about coaching? Because it is intrinsically rewarding when you help other people, when you grow help other people grow further. It is something that you cannot express in words. It gives you um, a kind of motivation or a reward by itself which you cannot express in words, as I mentioned earlier. Sustainable changes, what we have seen over a period of time. I've been associated with training and development for almost like 20 years. In last 20 years, I've trained so many people. What I see, what I notice, and this is one of the fundamental issues with the training, is that you burst the information in a short amount of time, a lot of information, which the training recipients or participants they accept, and they try to absorb as much as possible. And then when they go back, they are disconnected from the trainer. The information they start losing, and over the period of time, they lose almost like 80 to 90% of the content. Why? Because they have not been able to practice. So this is the difference between coaching and training. That coaching brings a sustainable change because of the mechanism that I explained you earlier. Engage, disengage on a continual or perpetual basis. Why should everyone learn about coaching? Because of increased influence on other people, and having better relationships, better collaborative efforts, and highly respectful becomes a person. Respected becomes a person who coaches other people. All right. So why the managers? Why it is important for the managers to learn about coaching? Because we are, as we progress in the corporate lives, and as the technology is advancing and everything is becoming more intense and more attention seeking. Why the managers should learn about coaching? more than other people. Because if they do not empower the teams, if they do not, imagine this is the manager and this is the team. If the manager does not allow the team to grow further, that means team will be dependent on the manager, right? So they keep pressing the manager for every need that they see because they're not empowered enough and they don't let the manager grow further. Now the manager is looking out for a room and the team is not allowing him to grow. So the team has to separate. Separate means empowered separately. So the manager empowers the team and the team comes here and the manager also comes here because with the team, the manager also grows. It is not possible that you provide your shoulder to someone to reach a higher place and you just stand like this. It is not possible. When someone is riding your shoulder to reach a higher place, you also lift yourself, right? So you are on toes. Not only your toes, you raise your shoulder as well. This is a sign of growth. This is how it works. So indirect growth for themselves. This is just now that I have explained. Coaching is a leadership behavior, yes. All leaders must coach or must know how to coach their people. And this is a skill, this is a leadership behavior. So a manager who learns how to coach people, it is not effective on his work side. Also, it helps a great deal. It makes a great deal of difference in his personal life as well. All right, so why this has become more relevant than before? Because most of us are knowledge workers with a high level of intellect. We are working from home, other remote conditions. Now it is remote connection, so we need to know each other in a little more in a more detail than before. And because we have WhatsApp, we have email, all lots of distractions from here and there. This is why it has become more relevant that we know how to focus and managers know how to make their teams intact and work more collaboratively than ever before. All right, some more benefits you can see over here. Feeling of achievement, better productivity. Well, you can read by yourself. It's an investment in your team, investment of time and efforts, but it pays back over a period of time. All right. So what happens if the managers did not coach their teams? What happens? Well, I can come up with a number of reasons where I've seen if the managers do not have the coaching capability in them, how the teams become disengaged, how their productivity plummets, and how their deadlines are missed. Coaching helps manager get more closer to the team like this and work with more collaboration and with more or better integrity where the employees are not happier, they are more engaged. So what is the difference between happiness and engagement? A person could be happy at work because he is receiving salary, he has some perks and some advantages and benefits from the company, and he doesn't mind spending some 8 to 9 hours at work and getting all these benefits. But this is not engagement. Engagement means the person is at work, but he is emotionally committed. That means he associates his happiness and his sadness and his emotions with work as well, and he feels committed and he considers that the work is actually his work and he does it with full commitment and energy. This is the engagement. All right, so let's move on. Why coaching works? So let me just look at my clock. All right, we're still in time. So why coaching works? Because the change comes from the client, the guy who is being coached by himself. You know why it is important that the change comes from within? Because and this is the prime difference between coaching and advising or coaching and mentoring. And imagine if this is a person, we call it a client, and this is a mentor. So mentor gives advices to the prodigy. This is the prodigy. Now it's up to the prodigy whether to accept the advices or not, whether to improve his life or not. So it is up to the prodigy to make the progress. Now, in terms of coaching, imagine this is the client and this is the coach. This association is different. How it is different? Because in this association or engagement, the coach does not provide any kind of advice. What a coach does instead, coach creates the urge in the client itself to become better and to raise himself or herself. Coach creates the urge. When a coach creates the urge, the actions come from the client, not from the coach, which is opposite in case of opposite to the mentoring, where the mentor tells the protege the actions. In this case, the actions come from the client himself or herself. Now, when the actions come from the client, there is a higher level of buy-in. That means the person is more motivated to act. When a person acts, it brings results and it changes a life. Okay, so why coaching works? Because if you change the way you see things, the things that you see change. It's a very interesting statement. It's a shift of paradigm. So let me give you an example over here. I remember there was a manager, and I was in that team working with the manager and one of the team members. So the team members was assigned a task where he was not seeing the task directly relevant to him. The manager was a very wise person and had a good coaching skills, had good coaching skills as well. So he asked this guy, this employee, and I was just watching as an outsider's perspective. So the manager asked this guy that would you like these software developers to work more effectively and being able to produce the software which is error free, which is faster, which is delivered faster, and so on and so forth. Just let me look at the chat window. It seems there's a question here. Okay, so Munawar says, uh, so should coach be sacked every time a team loses? Wow, thank you very much for this question. All right. So Munawar, I would like you to just wait for us for a while, and then I'll come back to your question. Let me complete this point first. Right. So the manager asked this guy that would you like the software developers to develop the software which is more effective, faster, error-free, and whatnot. So this team member, let's suppose his name was Ahmed. So Ahmed says, yes, I would like to do that. So the manager asked him that why do you think that it is good to have these software developers? So he says the company that we work for, it has a huge footprint on the region and so on and so forth. That means if these software developers work better, it would result in the better well-being of not only the companies, also the people itself. So this is where the manager intervened, and he says the job that has been assigned to you, which is making these software developer teams work together, sit together at the same place, which you think is not relevant to you. Now do you see the relevance of your work in the long term? So the guy was convinced, Ahmad was convinced. So do you see this point here? So what happened is that earlier he was not seeing from a different perspective. The manager was able to create an intellectual stimulation in Ahmed by asking a few questions so that Ahmed could see a different perspective. So he saw something which was not relevant. When he changed the way he saw things, things started changing. Ahmed started putting his efforts. So I believe I was able to put my point across. Okay, so now let me come back to Munawar's question. Munawar says, if every time a team loses, should the coach be sacked? Well, different people have different responses. It depends on who is the team owner or the team manager. Now, if the team manager sees that the coach is not being able to perform and the team is not improving at all, he should get rid of the coach. If he sees that the team is improving, maybe they were earlier at 0, now they have moved to 1 or 2. And let's suppose they are here. This is their level of competence. And imagine this is the level of competence which is required to win the match. So that means the team still have this much of difference to cover. So if the coach is helping the team to come up, that means the coach is doing his job greatly. But if the team is staying here for an entire duration of a year or for a longer period of time, you should get rid of the coach. All right. So more you focus on something, more you see that. I think this is one of the coaching principles. That if you want to measure something, if you want to improve something, you must be able to measure that. If something that cannot be measured, it cannot be improved. So this is one of the coaching fundamental principles. So what do? Is that coaching is not just building castles in the air. No, no, coaching is about achieving measurable progress in whatever that you want to do. Okay, someone else has something in there. All right, loses. Okay. All right, thank you, Nover. And it's a pleasure to see you here in this session. All right, so if you continue to focus on what you cannot do, you would fail to do what you can. There's something called missing tile syndrome, and I would like you to search on YouTube and watch this 4-minute video clip called missing tile syndrome. So imagine, I'll explain it what it is. So imagine that you're looking at your roof here and you find that one of the tiles is missing. You continue to focus that. Now, when you're focusing that missing tile only, you lose the opportunity of appreciating the entire roof, which is beautifully made. So because you're focusing, that's something which is missing here. This is what happens in life. You focus on something, let's suppose you're a manager, and you're focusing on one of the shortcomings of your team member. And since you're focusing only the shortcoming, it moves out your focus from whatever that he can do. Maybe his strengths are in some other areas and that can be leveraged, and you can utilize his skills in some other areas rather than pushing him further in the area where he is not able to perform well. So this is one of the benefits of coaching. It helps you. It helps you focus on what you want. I repeat, focus on what you want rather than focusing on not on what you do not want. I repeat, focus on what you want rather than focusing on what you do not want. Let me give you an example. And inshallah, you will find it value addition in your life. Let's suppose one of your family members is always late in coming to the dinner table, late in whenever getting ready, when you're going out, and so on and so forth. Rather than telling him or her, why are you late every time? I would like you to shift the perspective and create a positivity in your language. So shift the perspective from being late to being in time. So you tell the person that instead of asking why are you late every time, ask the person, I would like you to know what are the steps that you need to do or that I could do for you that will help you come in time. Do you see the shift in perspective? Help you come in time. So the message that you're giving to the other person is not being late, is about being in time. So shift in the perspective. Well, coaching does not dig on issues. That means coaching looks at the past. This is the past and this is the future. Imagine. So coaching does look at the past, but not on a continual basis, because you just cannot drive forward while looking into the rear view mirror. You cannot do that. If you want to drive ahead, you have to look at the windshield most of the time. Yes, you do look at the rear view mirror only for a short amount of time to see if there are vehicles coming from your left and right, so that you remain careful and safe. So coaching does look at the past, but only for a small amount of time. Coaching is always forward focused. So this is past, this is future. Coaching is not problem focused, coaching is solution focused. It's about you and your actions, not about someone who is not here. It's about you. Coaching starts from you. All right, so what next? Exercise. We have got a small exercise over here. And we would like you to do this exercise on your own. And there are two parts, part one and part two, so that you can continue to do this exercise later on as well, and it will help you a great deal. We would like everyone who is attending this 1 hour program, everyone to drive away with some value so that you can apply that value in your life and get benefit, inshallah. So imagine a colleague who has a specific behavior with you, and a person is close to you, a manager or a team member. Without disclosing the name of the person, please mention his or her unwanted behavior with you. You can type your response in the chat window. Now, now you have identified the behavior that you do not want. Now the step 3 says, now write how you want him or her to behave with you. So what do? Your response should look like this, that anger is something that you have noticed, that you have witnessed in his or her behavior with you, and what you want instead is politeness, slow response, promptness, disobedience, listening to you in the first call. So this is the exercise I would like you to do quickly in the chat window, what you would like to do, so that we can go to step number 2. Anything that you might have noticed in your colleagues, in your team, in your family members, like your son or your daughter or your spouse or your siblings, anything. Okay, what do you want instead? What do you see and what do you want instead? Okay, I'm just waiting for any response. All right, uncooperative. All right, so what do you want instead? Is it cooperation? All right. Okay, want cooperation. All right. So Farabhai, thank you very much for your inputs. So you see uncooperation or non-cooperation and you want cooperation instead. All right, great. All right, fine. So if any one more input arrives, I'll move forward. Okay, non-cooperation and want cooperation. Otherwise, we'll take this as our example and move on. Okay. So, all right. Stop negativity. All right. Stop negativity. Fine. So what do you want this person to do instead if he is not being negative? Stop wasting time. All right. Control anger. All right. So these are all these behaviors as I could see. This is not that you want. This is something that you want to stop. So I would like you to write what do you want instead. Yes. Now the inputs are there. Being positive. Yes. All right. Being more understanding. All right, controlling the anger and become more understanding. All right. Now, do you see this point here? Usually, we focus on something that we do not want, and we continuously, subconsciously, we continue to give messages that this is something that we do not want you to do. But we never, or most of the times, we do not tell the other person what we want instead. So, and the other person continues to get the signal. You know, human mind, when it receives, don't do that, it removes that word don't. So what it does, it says, it receives the message, do that. Okay. So you're talking about anger. So I'll do more and more anger. So I remember in one of the meetings, there were some hot exchange. It was technical meeting, and there were two managers sitting close to each other, and they had a hotter exchange. Now, one guy said that don't be angry upon this. Now, the moment he said don't be angry, the other person got more angrier than before. So what happens that when you're saying don't be angry, that means you are telling the other person that I'm seeing that you are getting angry. Now this person, even if he was not angry earlier, he gets angry now because he has been accused of becoming angry. So do you see the difference over here? So instead of that, what the message that we need to provide, be polite, stay cool, and lower your own voice as well. All right, so being positive. Fine, let's move to step number two. What is the step number two? Step number two is here. So what is that small little action from you? I repeat, what is that small little action from you that will help the other person behave the way you want him or her to behave? Very small little action that will help the other person behave the way you want him or her to behave. Okay. So I would like you to write in your chat window so that I can tell you whether your action is doable, it is quick, it is repeatable. Make sure that these are the characteristics or traits in your action. Okay, being positive, be positive with him. So Lubna says, be positive with him. So how do you be positive? It is a general, Lubna. I would like you to understand that this is a generic blanket statement. Be positive, be nice to people. Tell me a specific action that will help you be nice with other people. Okay, mention your expectations. All right, for it says mention your expectations. All right. Okay, start behaving the way I want other people to behave with me. Give me a small little action, which is doable, which is repeatable. See this. Make sure the action is small as possible. It is quick, doable in 30 seconds or a minute, let's say. It is repeatable, right? So Binteva says, if I want someone to talk politely, I will talk politely. So how do you talk politely? Give me a specific example. For instance, talking politely means, let's say, if I get into in a conversation with this guy, I will keep my voice lower. This means this is my way of being polite. Or I will ask him questions, or whatever. I will give him examples, or whatever. Give me a specific doable action. Okay, I ignore the anger now. All right. Okay. How do you ignore the anger? What is a specific action? You remain quiet, you walk away, you drink a glass of water, or what do you do, uh, Sadaf, when you say you ignore the anger now? What do you do? Okay, in low tone with a smile. All right. This is a specific action. Yes, in low tone with a smile. That means you are talking about the anger episode of the other person. So you respond in a low tone with a smile. Yes. This is a specific doable action. This is our generally speaking, this is our challenge. We don't come up with a specific doable actions and we do not apply or execute those actions, and and this is a reason we don't do this action and we expect the other person to understand what we intended to act, and the other person does not become better. So this is what happens. So this is how the coaching works. All right, so let me read out some of the more responses here. Lubna says, thank them, let them know how positivity spreads. All right, it's contagious, just like negativity. All right, okay. Yeah, this is a doable action. Okay, so do you understand this point now? Your action should be doable. Okay, so I just become unresponsive on. All right. Okay, managing setup says managing anger is quite difficult as I have witnessed. Managing anger. So is it managing your own anger or someone else's anger? So I just become unresponsive and walk away. So it depends on managing which anger are you talking about? Your anger or somebody else's anger. So on anger management, we have a separate workshop, an hour-long workshop, which is available on our Facebook page on anger management. Sadaf, please contact no Shafaq. If you can post the link of our anger management workshop on Facebook, it may help, inshallah. Where in this workshop we have talked about specific ways to control or manage the anger. All right, someone else's anger. All right. So we have talked about someone else's anger as well as your anger as well. Okay, fine. So let me give you a small little example from a personal life. No, the time does not permit. So maybe we can speak about this later on if the time, or if you got in touch with us one to one. All right, let me move on. Fine, because we wanted to do in an hour. So if the time permitted, we'll be here and we are open to question and answers after the session. So let me complete the content first, so that everyone, whoever wants to leave, he can leave in time. So the value question is that what value did you create for yourself with this exercise? Whatever that we have done so far in last 50 minutes, what value did you create in yourself by this conversation? So I would like you to write. So at least you are well aware of the value that you are driving away with. And I also feel good about at least my time has been effectively utilized to create some value in your life. So I would like you to write in the chat window what value did you create in your life by this conversation? All right. Doable actions coach more than nagging. All right. Okay, doable actions. Yes. Nagging makes no difference at all. Yes. And complaints as well. No difference. Thank you very much for bringing this up. I'm also thankful to MUMKIN team, Shafaq and Faisal and Omer, whoever is here. Whatever efforts that you see me speaking here and blah blah whatever, there's a lot of team effort behind this. So it's not only me, it is the whole team. All right, self-analysis. Okay, getting to know about my actions and how does it impact other people. Thank you, Sada, for sharing this. All right. Okay. So the Shafaq says how effective coaching skills can be in our daily lives in making a difference. Making a difference. All right. Okay. Self-analysis, getting to know about my actions. All right. Parabek says even a small action, as long as it is doable. Yes, make sure it is doable. And repeatable might bring about a change in the other person. Yes. Yes. So let me ask you a question. You you have been able to create a positive impact on the other person, but where the change started, I would like you to know that change is started here. You cannot change the other person until and unless you change the person in the mirror. And who is the person in the mirror? Me, myself. So the change begins here. Once the change begins here, other people start seeing the change and they start changing. This is how it works. Change the way you see things. Yes. All right. Thank you, Professor, for this. All right. And the difference between coaching and mentoring is mentoring is more of advising, coaching is not advisory at all. All right. Okay. All right. So let's move on. All right. Spat for course details. Learning objective of this course enabling the managers to create what good rapport for their teams, positively influence, coach their teams, one-to-one coaching sessions. If manager has an issue, or if a parent has an issue with one of his children, let's say, it's similar relationships. So what they need to do is this session will help them understand each other better and help them run a coaching session to help the other person become better. Measure the ROI of coaching. Well, we call this ROI, return on investment, because it is a measurable difference that coaching creates. And let me tell you one thing more clearly, that this course is not about creating coaches. This course is about managers learning coaching skills to be able to manage their teams more effectively than before. Let me just see the chat window. Okay, you can see the Facebook page where you will find the anger management workshop. It's called Tweak Your Anger. Okay, Harvard line manager. Okay, Sadaf asking, how would you line manage and coach at the same time? All right, okay. So we believe that, imagine this is the manager. When manager, and this is a team, right? So when manager learns the coaching skills, his ability to manage his people raises further. So he becomes here. He is still able to manage the team, and by knowing how to coach people, and this role of this managerial role becomes more effective when he develops the coaching skills. So it's not that he has become a coach for his team. No, he is still managing the team, but managing his team more effectively, like the real life example that I shared with you a few minutes before, like the IT department, who the guy who was Ahmed, he was working on the co-location of different software development teams, and he thought his job, his work was not relevant to what he was doing. And the manager helped him see his task or assignment with a different perspective. And then he understood the whole scenario in a bigger perspective and was more motivated to do his job, which was co-locating people or different teams at the same place. So manager was able to ask a coaching question here. All right, so Sabah, I believe your question has been addressed. All right, so what are the high-level content that we are going to address in this course? Basic coaching skills, coaching questions, and coaching is a habit. We, as when a manager is approached by a person, rather than providing a solution, imagine this is the manager, rather than providing a solution directly, what a manager does, he coaches the team members. Manager coaches the team member, so the team member empowers or grow further. When the team member grows further, the manager also grows, as I explained earlier. So this is a habit that needs to be cultivated. We also talk about one-to-one coaching conversations as to how a coach, a manager, or even a parent can engage in a coaching conversation with the children, so that the children can find solution on their own. The managers, employees, the team members can find solutions by themselves, and not start depending on the manager for everything that they want to do. We also talk about team visioning. Why visions are important. Visions are the picture of the future that you want to see. Why having a vision is important. How to define team visions, and how to break down your visions into actionable items. This is what we focus on in the third session. The fourth session is very interesting. It talks about psychological safety and building vulnerability, build trust in teams. Because trust is the fundamental emotional need, whether you are at home or you are at work. You have a need of being trusted by other people. So how to create a trust between team members so that they work more closely. So this is something that we talk about on the last day. And we talk about conflict management as well. So these are the contents in general that we cover in this course. All right, so let's move on. Schedule, inshallah, we'll start on Saturday, 10th of October. It's 4 consecutive Saturdays, 10th of October, and then 17, 24, and 31st. That means the entire month of October will go by this schedule, inshallah. We'll start at the time, the same time. No, we'll start at 9 a.m. Saudi time, inshallah, and finish for 2 hours by 11 a.m. Saudi time. In Pakistan, it will be 11 to 1 p.m. If most of the participants want us to start early or a little later, we can do that as well. We are flexible from on our side. It depends on the participants. About the medium of conversation, it also depends on the participants. If we have some people, some participants from this region who do not speak Urdu, so we'll continue with English. If we have participants only who from Pakistan or from Urdu speaking circle, we would love to speak in Urdu as well. 2 hours each session time. Yes, WhatsApp support will be available. Some homeworks will be posted on the WhatsApp group. So it's a well coordinated effort, inshallah. All right, so let's move on further. Another value question. All right, you already told me that what value you created in yourself by this session, by this exercise. I'll bring you to the next question. It's a transformation question. Imagine you started practicing whatever you learned from this program, whatever that you've learned. What kind of transformation it will bring? Will it bring to your life? It is something small, negligible, average, or it is a big transformation that this value will bring to your life. So I would like you to write your response in the chat window. What kind of transformation this will bring? Okay, 11 a.m. is good. All right, so Pakistan time 11 a.m. is good. Fine. All right, that's okay. All right. Okay, I'm sure quite significant. All right. Yes, it's going to bring significant. Thank you, Sada, for your response. Yeah, significant. Right. So for this significant level of transformation here, what do you think could be an investment? This is a lifetime investment. That means whatever that you learn over here is not going to die or evaporate or fly away in just one day. It's going to stay with you for your entire lifetime, inshallah. Because this is coaching. This is how you're going to practice. This is how you're going to keep in touch with whatever that you're going to learn, inshallah. So the investment is very modest. It is Pakistani rupees 25,000 or Saudi riyals 550. But there is a big but here. Let me see the response. Okay, what are the changes? How often in a week? What are the charges? How often in a week? All right. So we already talked about this. It is once a week. Only on Saturdays, 2 hours every week. That means 2 hours every week you will engage with us in a classroom setting, and during the week you will have to spend at least an hour or an hour and a half to do some of the assignments or some homeworks that will be part of this program. All right, the charges are here. So there's a but here that if you register today, here today's offer, you pay only this much amount. That means instead of 25,000, you pay only 19,500, or instead of 550, you pay only 450. Only if you register today. There's another precondition over here that if you want to register today, you need to scan this QR code in your phone. Just look at the screen. I mean, show the screen to your phone. Let the phone scan this QR code. Fill out the form and write LBC intro. If you write this LBC intro in your form, you will be entitled to get discounts, which has been mentioned here in this previous slide. This offer is only for today. All right. So why train with MUMKIN? Because we are highly qualified coaches, and as I mentioned earlier, it's a team effort. These all schools which you see here, Mars Venus, Erickson, and Marshall Goldsmith, these are one of the topmost coaching schools in the world. We have a strong support system. It's a full community program, complete ecosystem. So we'll tell you through the whole cycle. It's not that we teach you something, and we leave you stranded in the middle of desert. No, no, no. It's a complete ecosystem which is built for your continual support. So this is MUMKIN. We work at different levels: organization, corporate level, middle management, team level, individual level. So we work through the core and we go inside out as well. All right. Okay. So finally, thank you very much for your esteemed presence in this session. I believe that you have found the session not only interesting, but you have also found it useful. And as we mentioned earlier in the first slide, that please go out and share this knowledge with other people. If you do not share the knowledge, there's a higher tendency that you will lose 90% of the content within the next 24 to 48 hours. Thank you again for your presence, and we look forward to seeing you in our workshop. Don't forget to fill out the form and write the code LBC intro. Make sure that you scan this QR code and make sure that you write this LBC intro in the form. Thank you again for your presence and look forward to seeing you. Jazakallah khair. If there are any questions, I'm here. I'm stopping and I'm sharing the screen, and here am I. Available for your questions. If you want to open your mic, you can do that. If you want to, type your question in the chat window, that's fine with me. All right, charges weekly? No, it is once, of course. Yes. All right. So if there are any questions, please feel free to raise your questions, and let me give you an option to open the mic as well. Give me a second. Yeah, you can unmute yourself and you can ask questions. If you have any questions, feel free to unmute yourself and ask. If there are no more questions, then we would like to say thanks again. Thanks everyone for joining us in the session. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thanks to our families, MUMKIN team, and everyone who has played a vital role in this presentation and in the upcoming workshop. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.